What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Lost Boy Skates podcast. I'm your host, Lost Boy Skates. You can find me on Instagram at Lost Boy Skates 88 or on the podcast Instagram at Lost Boy Skates Podcast. We also have a YouTube channel where you can check us out. We'll be posting videos of the podcast out there, and multiple ways to get the content, right? So today, that's kind of what I wanted to talk about was skate content and skate videos. Um, so skate content can be found on almost any piece of social media, whether it's on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Thrasher website, etc. Um, Skate videos and clips have always been the bread and butter of skateboarding. It's how we share our content with people inside and outside of our typical communities, right? I have friends across the United States because of skateboarding. I've met so many great people because of skateboarding. And sometimes, like, there's some guys out in Las Vegas that I met on a trip few years back, and I went to the local skate park and met these guys and found them on Instagram, and now we kind of follow each other, and that's how we stay in contact. We will comment and like each other's stuff, right? Some of my local guys that I like to skate with on a regular, I don't always get to skate with them because life is what life is. I have a career, I have a wife, I have 5 kids. So sometimes I don't always have all the time in the world to go out and skate with some of my guys that I'd love to skate with. Sometimes I might just get enough time to go out front and skate my rail, my ledge, or my quarter pipe, right? So these skate clips keep me in touch with them. It keeps me motivated. Uh, you know, and it's just a big piece of skateboarding that I think now we have an overabundance of. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. It introduces to people to skateboarding and some of the gnarly things that are thrown down on a board, right? Uh, I think one of the cool things happened in the early to mid 2000s. Switch Skate and Snow, a local skate shop here in Delaware. They're based out of Newark off of Main Street, and they produced a shop video. And it was the first time prior to social media that you really got to see the local guys outside of your local meetup or skate park or, you know, street skating, right? I loved it because it just showed the passion of these young guys who that they just love to skate, and they were sponsored by the shop, and they put that together. I'd love to see more of our local shops do that, right? If any of our local shops were to do that, I would be the first person in line to get a copy of it. I wish I still had a copy of the Switch Skate and Snow video. My best friend Bobby had actually purchased that along with Almost Round 3, Elementality, and the DC video all at the same time from the same skate shop. And we sat down and we watched them. We had like a marathon day where we were skating, and every time we took a break, we'd go and watch, one of those skate videos. I mean, we literally skated from like sun up to sundown, right? Until mom was like, "Hey, you need to get in this house or I'm locking you out," right? So, with that being said, prior to social media, how we got our skate content was magazines and again, skate videos. So, you had to hope that your local shop had the particular video that you were looking for. And the only way you found out about those videos was from Thrasher magazine, Transworld magazine, or any other skate magazine that you could get your hands on. And they didn't have commercials on TV, and back then, skate videos were on VHS, and if you were lucky, they'd be on DVD too. Uh, what is it? Flip Sorry. You could not find that other than on VHS, and if your family didn't have a VHS player anymore, you were up a certain creek without a paddle. You wouldn't be able to watch that content. There wasn't YouTube, right? You couldn't see clips of it on Instagram or TikTok or anywhere like that. Those things just did not exist. MySpace came out in 2003, and even then, it was more for music. You didn't have clips that you could put on there, right? So, anyways, um, things that are going to pull me in to somebody's content is like how much fun they're having, right? I love watching my local guys because some of my local guys are my age or older, and they just have so much fun doing it. And they just are so encouraging and just so positive. Even if you're having a rough day, or even if they're having a rough day, they're still trying to give that positive atmosphere and really bring people in, right? That's what skateboarding should be. Is it should be a community that just brings people in, brings people together versus separating them. Uh, and not every skate community is like that. I've been to other states and been to their local skate parks in different places and had that experience where because I wasn't one of the locals, I was kind of the outsider. Nobody wanted to talk with me or like encourage me or support me. And didn't matter because I'm still going to skate anyway. You know, it just makes it more enjoyable and more fun when you have that community aspect of it. Right. So, one of the things or one of the people that I like watching the most, and it's really cliche, is Rodney Mullen. And the reason why is not because he's the godfather of modern street skating, and it's not because he's in constant God mode when he's on a board, but it's because of the fun, the smiling, the shit eating grin as he's doing these hard combinations, the taking a moment to pause and just have a laugh, right? About what he just landed. It just shows how much fun he's having. If you watch his almost round 3 or Globe Opinion parts, you just see that passion and that fun that he's having. And this is a guy who's well into his 40s at that point. And he's still loving every second of it. He's been doing it for, 30, 40, 50 years now. And it's just like, he's just having so much fun doing it. So, it just draws me in. It makes me wanna watch his video parts, and then on top of that, watching him do the crazy God mode stuff, right? The Tony Hawk Pro Skater specials, right? So, the next thing that I like about certain clips and video parts is passion, right? When you're having fun, that brings out passion, right? Sometimes passion can come out in other ways. A perfect example of passion incarnate in skateboarding is Lindsey Robertson, a very underrated skater. And you can see him in DC video, Zero Dying to Live, the mystery video from like the 2000, like mid 2000 area, right? And Lindsey Robertson has two parts to him. It's like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, right? Dr. Jekyll is the guy that's landing all the tricks. He's having a lot of fun. He's celebrating when he lands those tricks. And Mr. Hyde is the reverse. That frustration, that anger that comes out when you're not landing your tricks, when you know you can do a trick, but for whatever god awful reason, you just keep messing something small up or you're landing it ugly. Like you're just, you know, but the thing that I love about it is he's that perfect mix. You'll see him get angry and snap his boards and stuff, but then you also see him celebrating the tricks that he's landing. So passion is key to keep feeling motivated to do things, right? The next thing is pushing your boundaries on a board. For me, sometimes pushing a boundary is just not necessarily learning a new trick, but learning to do a certain trick in a different way, right? Like I love doing heel flips, but you'll see me do a heel flip on a hip. You'll see me do a heel flip to fakie, right? And then on the reverse side, I'll also do like a fakie heel, right? On an incline, or I'll try to do it on a hip. You know, it's just a constant push to do better on a board and to learn new stuff and to feel like you're progressing. And when we push those boundaries and when I see other people pushing those boundaries, it just encourages me to do it more. And whether that's at the skate park when I'm actually skating or whether it's when I'm sitting at home, you know, and have nothing else to do other than watch, a couple clips from my friends throughout the day. Somebody who does that really well on a board is Danny Way. In the DC video, it was the first time we really got to see the mega ramp, and it just defied what everybody thought was possible on a skateboard. And so think about this. You're flying down the roll in, which is you're doing like 60 to 80 miles an hour on a skateboard. Which for me, just the height of that roll-in, standing at the top of it, I'd probably piss my pants, and I probably would never roll in on that thing. I might slide down it on my butt, but I'm not rolling in on my skateboard. It's just not gonna happen ever. Um, but then he would do a McTwist over this 100-foot gap, land on another roll-in, and go up a 32-foot quarter pipe and do this crazy backside air, right? And he's just pushing that boundary. And when you think he couldn't push it any further, All of a sudden, he busts out this rainbow rail and he's doing back crook, nose grinds, board slides, lip slides across this rail, again, dropping in on that large incline, flying across this gap, grinding the rail, landing, and then going up the quarter pipe and doing an air, right? He's putting his body on the line. He's just constantly pushing that boundary for himself. And that's pushing his boundaries, right? Every person has different boundaries in skateboarding. Everybody has different potentials. And as you sit there and try to learn new stuff, or you learn to do it the same trick in a different way, that's you pushing your boundaries and just expanding your knowledge of skateboarding. Danny Way has even done these things hurt. And I think every skater has done that where they've hurt themselves somehow and skated through it. And I know I'm one of those people. When my knee was still in the early process of healing, I was still trying to skate a little bit here and there. And I did my first contest back before I was even ready, but I still ended up landing 3 or 4 tricks in the best trick contest, and it felt great. I wasn't even close to winning. Some of the guys that were skating in this contest were killers, and that was Winter Wagon 2023, right? Um, so to know that coming back and still trying to compete, that was me pushing that boundary for myself, trying to see if I still have what it takes to feel confident on a board enough to compete. So the next thing I love to see in skateboarding is eliminating stereotypes. The first stereotype I want to eliminate and talk about is girls can't skate. So many times I've heard guys talk about how girls can't skate, that there's really no good girl skateboarders out there. And I'm going to tell you right now, that's completely false. First off, you have Alyssa Steamer in her parts for Welcome to Hell and Jumping Off a Building. Also, the 2 Globe World Cups that she won in the 2000s. She's just phenomenal on a skateboard. Alyssa Steamer was really the first female to do street skateboarding, modern street skateboarding, I should say. And to see her video parts and how well put together they are really just expanded the capabilities of anyone on a board. She skates better than half the guys that I've seen in skate parts, right? So Alyssa Steamer, I saw in the early 2000s, Carrie Beth Burnside. She would skate half pipes, and she was doing some really gnarly airs on them. And I think she really influenced a lot of the vert girls that are out there now. Towards the mid 2000s, you didn't really hear much about Alyssa Steamer. A lot of people thought she had stopped skateboarding, but you know, she was still out there, but she just wasn't as well known. Uh, I didn't actually learn about her until after I saw Carrie Beth Burnside and Vanessa Torres. Vanessa Torres has a really solid part in both Elementality and This Is My Element. Um, both of them came out in the mid 2000s. So Elementality came out in 2005, and I think This Is My Element came out in like 2007 or 8. But Vanessa Torres had 2 very solid parts in both those videos. And I think she also defied other stereotypes. But during the mid 2000s, as her parts came out, I feel like I saw or noticed more girls starting to pick up skateboarding. And I think that is truly inspiring to see people who aren't the social norm. The social norm in skateboarding is, skinny guys, skinny white guys typically. But now you're seeing a lot of different people come to skateboarding. And that's such a beautiful thing. And so the other thing about Vanessa Torres was that she wasn't your typical athletic build. She was a thicker girl in those videos. And yes, she's gotten healthier, she's lost weight, and she's still killing it. But I think it just showed that you don't have to be super skinny, you don't have to be super athletic to be in skateboarding. It does help to be more athletic. It does help to do the training and eat right and all that. But there are some people that just don't subscribe to that, And skateboarding is one of those sports where you don't necessarily have to be the most fit and best trained person to do it. So I think that's where I also want to touch base on is I want to see the fat, the chunky, the old, the just the people who don't fit that athletic build in skateboarding. Gearshawn Mosley was somebody who really wasn't the most athletic looking guy, but this man had so much pop in his ollies, you would never know that he's such a big dude. And he would do things like, okay, so he ollied a transition to back crook in Globe Opinion, and he back crooks across it's like 4 to 6 like cement construction barriers, and he pops out so cleanly, right? He ollies over this like trash can, and he gets so much height, and you don't expect that from a thicker guy. Um, Another thick guy I like watching is Jamie Foy, and it's just because I'm a thicker guy. I am 5'5", and I typically walk around about 210 pounds nowadays. When I first started skating when I was younger, I was probably 120, 140 pounds soaking wet, and I had more of that athletic build. But as I've gotten older, like I don't have that anymore, right? I don't do the training. I'm not out there lifting weights. I do stretch, from time to time. I don't do it as much as I probably should do it. But, you know, when I'm out there skating, that's all my focus is on, right? So to see guys like Gearshawn Mosley, Jamie Foy out there, thicker guys, and they're killing it, it just inspires me to want to skate harder and skate more because, again, that's my type of build. One of my favorite local guys to skate is older than me. I believe he's 50 or 51, and yet he's still doing kickflips. He's doing old school no complies and bonelesses and bean plants. But that's what makes his skating special is because his style is much different than mine. It's one of the favorite things I like about skating with him, and he always has a positive attitude, right? Doesn't matter whether he's having a good day, bad day, his attitude is always positive. And there's other guys too who are more my age that I love watching them skate. They might do the same tricks as me or might do some different tricks um, that I can't do, but I enjoy watching them. And even if I've seen, again, even if I've seen the same clips over and over and over again from those same dudes, I want to see them again. I want to see you do a no comply shove every day. I want to see you do that grind combination that you do, right? Because it's enjoyable, right? And that's humanizing the skateboarding. And that's kind of where I feel like is the most important piece with skateboarding and seeing clips is the humanization of skateboarding. And what I mean by that is not always seeing these guys who are in complete God mode, right? Guys who will talk about their passion for skateboarding, guys who talk about their enjoyment of skateboarding and how they push the boundaries, right? So in Globe Opinion, there's a guy named Chet Thomas. Most people may know him as like the owner of Dark Star Skateboards, but I grew up with him being this street skater who was just phenomenal, very techy, great pop, just very, very good, right? Um, I think one of the coolest things I ever saw in one of his skate parts was he does like a 540 indie grab on a hip, and he just like he spins so fast, lands so cleanly, right? And again, that's one of his God mode moments. But in Globe Opinion, he does it like this interview where he talks about his passion for skateboarding and like his resilience in skateboarding. Like a big part of skateboarding is having resilience, and a part of being a human being is having resilience because you have to push through so many adverse things throughout your life. And there's so many things that go on throughout life, and if you don't have resilience, you don't survive. You end up developing like substance abuse habits, or you end up developing like severe mental illness because you don't know how to deal with that anxiety or the depression that is caused by that stress, right? And of course there's trauma. Everybody has experienced some type of traumatic event throughout their life, and that leads to a lot of the things that I was talking about. But to see somebody talk about the resilience that they're taught through skateboarding is just so humanizing, and it's just just really brings out the best in skateboarding. And that's the type of environment that I want to be in when I'm skating. And that's the type of things that I want to see in people's skate clips and videos. Like, I don't always want to see you landing your trick. I want to see what led up to that. The falls, the mess ups, the 15 million tries that it took to land it finally cleanly, right? And that's what Chet is talking about. And I love that about his video part. Another perfect example comes from Globe Opinion is Jeremy Klein. Jeremy Klein is smashing himself throughout the whole first part of his skate video. And he probably fell just as many times as he landed tricks for it. And he talks about, "Oh, there's only another month to go before we're supposed to have the video completed." And he ends up putting together a relatively good skate part. And it's, again, it's not the best skate part I've ever seen, but the fact that he was destroying himself and then had a month to finish his part, gets it together, puts this decent part together, like, that's so humanizing. I felt that same way when I did my 35 for 35. In the beginning of filming, I started in, I want to say, like May of 2023. And at that point, I wasn't skating very much. And I had only gotten like 4 or 5 skate clips, right? Fast forward to October and November, and I'm like, oh my God, I still have like 10 to 15 more tricks to do. And then all of a sudden it just started coming together, little clips here and there. And I was like, oh my God, like, I'm actually going to be able to do this. I ended up having more than 35 clips and I just put them all in. I think I had 39 altogether, but I was so psyched because I had pushed myself through that. And to come back from such a severe injury as I had, just it just showed that the passion that I had was still there. It showed that I still had that resilience. I was able to push my own boundaries, right? And again, I'm not the fittest dude, so I was defying that typical athletic stereotype. And just to be able to come back from something like that and be able to skate again just made me fall in love with skateboarding all over again. And like I said, those are the things that I look for in skate clips and videos. I want to see the fun. I want to see the passion. I want to see the pushing of boundaries. I want to see the elimination of stereotypes. And I really want to see the humanization of skateboarding. So that's all I got, guys. I really hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. I really hope that you got something out of it and it inspires you to kind of just take a different look at how skate content and this type of skate content you put out. Uh, Again, follow me on Instagram or check me out on YouTube. Leave me a comment, send me a message. Uh, I don't care if you have something negative to say or if you have constructive criticism. Uh, I want to hear it all, and I'll try to respond the best I can to everybody. If you have suggestions for content you want me to cover, feel free to let me know. I'm going to start putting some plans out there to start doing some interviews with local guys. I'm hoping to get them on here and get them to do like a 30-second video edit for the end that you'll be able to find on YouTube. But again, I really appreciate everybody taking the time to check out my stuff. Thank you. And like I said, just keep skating.